Yes, YouTube, we are back online today in for another push day, which I know was the last video. I'm also going to run through some tips as to why some of you aren't able to build muscle, even though you're training quite a lot, you're trying to put some effort in. There are two main things that are going to massively hold you back. And if you aren't doing these two things, or you haven't got these things set up, it's going to be hard for you to progress. So the first thing that you need, if you want to go into the gym and you want to actually build some muscle and see some results, you need a plan. You need to be following a plan. If you go to the gym and you've done any level of research, the way that we progress is by applying progressive overload. So you need a plan. You need to be doing the same lifts week to week on repeat, working the weight up, doing more reps or improving your form. That's exactly how you progress. If you're just wandering around the gym like a headless chicken, willy-nilly, gung-ho, just jumping onto whatever machine is free, you can't track your progress. No two lifts are the same. If you do a flat chest press one week and a flat dumbbell press the next week, those two movements are completely different. On the machine press, you don't need to stabilize. On the dumbbell press, you do need to stabilize. So they're two different movements. Ow, just slammed my funny bone. So if you're watching this video and you aren't currently following a training program, I'm going to explain to you exactly how you can make one for yourself that's effective and that fits in with your schedule. Having the perfect training program is great, but if you can't stick to it, it's essentially useless. So you need to figure out what works for you with the time that you've got available, what fits in with your schedule, and then how long you can actually train for inside of the gym. So step number one, figure out how many days per week you can actually train. That's going to be your starting point. That's your basic. Once you've figured out how many days per week you can definitely train, then we can have a look at how to actually structure those sessions. But the plan that you make with regard to training, you need to prepare for the worst. So genuinely figure out how many days per week you can definitely train without fail. And then we've got some sort of structure, some sort of baseline, and then we can progress from that moving forwards. If you find that you do have a little bit more time for here and a little bit more time for there, you can throw in some extra volume with some muscle groups that you actually want to prioritize. In this video, I'm also going to run you through my push day, structured in a way that allows you to hit every single muscle group in the push category with enough volume to actually stimulate growth and to help you get fucking jacked. Because that's what we all want to do, isn't it? I'm joking. But essentially, this session is structured in a way that's incredibly effective. It allows you to get the most bang for your buck from every single exercise, and it ensures that you're not doing too much to the point where it's taken away from your session. In my opinion, for me, it's literally the perfect amount of volume. When I finish this session, I know I'm going to be absolutely smoked, but I'm able to give my all on every single exercise, which is the most important thing. So kicking things off with some machine lateral raise. I love this machine, it's great. It's better than dumbbells because as soon as you lift this weight, you've got tension on the side delt. If you were using dumbbells, the bottom quarter, the bottom third of the movement, you've not really got a great deal of tension on the side delt, just because of how gravity works and how you're grabbing the dumbbells, but because of how machines and cable stacks are rigged, as soon as you lift that weight up, you've got tension on the side delt, which is why I prefer using a machine as opposed to a set of dumbbells. So if you're at the gym, you've got access to a machine lat raise, I would consider swapping out for dumbbells because it's a little bit more effective. I've got 3 sets on here. I've done a couple of warm-ups. I'm going to dive into my first working set, which I'm going to be aiming for 8 to 12 reps. So get cracking, peeps. So last session I got 68 kilos plus 15 pounds for 8 reps. So I mean the next drop in weight is just the next pin down. So 77 kilos. I need to get at least 8 reps. Let's fucking get it. Come on. First top set. This sets the tone for the rest of the session. So go balls to the wall on your first set, and I can guarantee the rest of your session will be fucking great. Yeah. Yeah. Pay attention, boy, teach you how to do this shit. Yeah. It was a grind there. Just for reference, that is literally the perfect last rep. On every single exercise, that's what you want your last rep to look like. From start to finish, you want it to be a true grind. And as you'll notice, on that last rep, I did actually try, but I couldn't even budge the weight a tiny bit, so That's what you should be shooting for. So back to programming. Now, once you've figured out how many days you can train, you need to split that up into the most effective split. Now, in my opinion, if you can train 2 or 3 days a week, you'd be better off following a full body split. That way you are accumulating more than enough volume to actually stimulate growth over the course of a week. There's a common misconception that you need to go into the gym and train 4 or 5 times a week for you to actually see growth. It's just not true. 2 days is more than enough, provided you're doing the right things inside the gym and you're actually pushing to failure. So 2 or 3 days, I would say full body split. 4 days, I would personally do upper lower. So it would be upper lower rest, upper lower rest. And then if you can train 5 days, this is the split that I do. It's pull, push, lower, rest, upper lower rest. In essence, the idea is that no matter how many days you can train, you want to be hitting each muscle group at least 2 times per week. So once you've figured out how many days per week you can train and you've got your split, you need to break down the sessions themselves. So just as a point of reference, you should always aim between 6 and 16 working sets per muscle group per week. The less you train during the week, the lower your volume should be. Like if you're a little bit strapped for time, doing 8 sets of every single muscle group twice, it's not really going to do you too much good. It's going to be a lot of junk volume. It's also going to be very time consuming. If you train 2 or 3 days a week, I would typically stick to probably 6 to 8 working sets per muscle group per week, which broken down would be 3 working sets per muscle group per session. You just need to make sure that you're actually pushing to failure. And then if you've got any muscle groups that you want to prioritize, so you've got some chicken legs, you've got some chopstick legs and you want to build them, typically you would program a little bit more volume for legs and maybe take a little bit of volume away from somewhere else, somewhere that's maybe more developed, somewhere that you're not too bothered if it grows as much as possible. You're just okay with a little bit of growth. Exercise number 2 for today on a push day is flat machine press. So I've got 2 working sets on here. I've not done any pec work yet, so I'm going to spend a few sets warming up. This is an exercise that I'm going to go heavy on. So I want to make sure that my titties are fresh, they're nice and primed, so that I don't get injured. Last week I got up to 4 plates. This is my first warm-up set. I'm going to do 2 plates, then I'm going to do 3, and then I'll probably do 3.5, and then I'll bump up to 4. Once you've figured out how many days you can train, you've split your volume up, you know what split you're following, you can actually start to delve into what exercise you're including. Typically for me, I will always include 2 compound lifts on every single day. So for example, on a leg day, that would be a leg press, some form of squat variation, hack squat, barbell squat, Smith machine squat, pendulum squat, and then we'll just fill the rest of the session with isolation movements. In terms of how many exercises you're actually choosing, I would always go between 5 and 8. Typically on a leg day, you would have fewer exercises because they're quite fatiguing. Like on a leg day, I only do 5 exercises. So that's squat, a leg press, leg extension, hamstring curl, and maybe an RDL. And then for upper body, you can get away with a little bit more volume in terms of doing more exercises because some of the muscle groups are much smaller. For example, the biceps and the triceps, they're not really that fatiguing. So you can throw them onto the end of the session and it's not really going to do too much harm. Right, we're in. Top set. 7 reps last time with 80, 4 plates, or 3 plates and 2 10s. So I need 8. I've been stuck at 80 for a few weeks, hovering around 6-7 reps. So I need 8. I'm not putting the weight down until I get 8 reps. Fuck. 6. That's moving backwards. That's not what we want. We move on. Onwards and upwards. I want some redemption. Last week coming back off, I got 64.8, so I've got 65 on. I'm going to get 10. I'm going to get 10. No, I'm going to get 10. I'm going to have a little breather for 30 seconds. I'm going to take this jumper off because things are getting serious. I'm going to fucking beast this weight. 65 for 10. 65 for 10. That's what we're getting. And that was about 9.9 reps. I won't count that last one. But 65 for 9, that's plus 5 kilos and plus 1 rep. So we take that every day, all day. Right, we're on to high incline Smith machine press. This is my Marmite exercise. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, but I'm never sat in the middle. I've never got a nice, happy medium. So in terms of programming your actual session, first off, pick exercises that you actually enjoy. It's all good and well being given a training program that you think is effective. But if you've got a lot of exercises in there that you don't enjoy, you're not going to be thrilled to go and train, you're not going to be buzzing, you're not going to be up for going and attacking your set. So when making your program, include movements that you actually enjoy. In terms of the structure of the actual session, I always start every single session with what I like to call it a priming exercise. So it's always in isolation, something that's fairly light, that's not too taxing. And that essentially is just to get you primed for the session mentally. I feel like when you wander into the gym and you just dive straight into a compound, more often than not, you're not fully switched on, you're not sort of in lift mode, you're like sort of wandering around, you've been on your phone, you've only just got into the gym. So I feel like taking that first exercise to get to grips with training and getting the right mindset is really beneficial, or at least it has been for me. First exercise, always in isolation. It can be calf raise, bicep curls, lat raises. Focus on a weaker muscle group because you're fresh, so you're going to be able to train it a little bit harder. But just make sure that it's in isolation, something that's fairly light, something that's not too taxing. In terms of the compounds, I would typically do a compound early in the session and then one around halfway through. You don't want to be leaving it until last because at the end of a session, you are going to be a little bit taxed physically and mentally. So if you're throwing in a heavy compound, you're probably not going to be able to do a great deal. Have a compound lift second as exercise number 2, and then throw one in maybe third or fourth. But just make sure that if you're doing compounds back to back, it's not with the same muscle group because, again, you're going to accumulate a lot of fatigue. It's going to take away from your sessions. So exercise number 3 is a high incline Smith machine press. This is my first warm-up set. I've just done a flat machine press. So although I'm not directly training my upper pec, during a flat press you will get some upper pec activation. So it's fairly warm. I'm going to take one set. This is near my working weight, just to do a few reps and to get used to the movement pattern, and then I'll dive into a working set. Something else to bear in mind for warm-ups. The whole idea of a warm-up is that you work up to your working weight whilst expending as little energy as possible. When I see people warming up and they're doing 20, 25, 30 reps, you're wasting so much energy. Work your way up gradually, but don't be doing loads of reps. Try and conserve your energy. That's not annoying. I think that was 4 times then. I'll probably have to take that off when I do my working set. You know, that happened in the last video with Ben. I've clearly not learnt my lesson. So last week we got 35.49. So I need to fail within the 6 to 10 rep range. So I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to up the weight. 37.5 and we'll see what we get. Right, we're on peeps. 37.5 on the bar. One thing I do find mad, how people train without earbuds in. In this gym, it's okay. Sometimes they play tunes that are decent, they get you amped up, ready to hit your sets. But I remember training in Pure Gym and Jess Glynn had come on and I'd be like, this is not what I need. Getting ready for a heavy set and you just hear, right here, you got me where you want me. It's a banger, I like the song, but when I'm trying to get ready for a set, that's not what I want. Let's see what we can do, peeps. Let me take this off, or just move it a little bit further down. Yep. Come on. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yes, Pete, so when you've got your split sorted, you've got your exercise sorted, we need to have a look at sets and reps. So, as a basic rule of thumb, this is a rule of thumb that I personally follow, you want to follow a reverse pyramid set structure. So typically it would be 2 sets or 3 sets. You do a top set, which is your heaviest set. Typically this would be in a lower rep range, so 6 to 9, 6 to 10, maybe 8 to 12. And then your back-off set, you would drop the weight 10 to 20%, and then you would do more reps. So if set number 1 was 6 to 10, maybe set number 2 would be 12 to 15. And then if you were to do a third set, you would drop the weight down again, 10 to 20%, and you would up the rep range again. I've personally found that this method is the best way that you can apply progressive overload. Let's say you go in your top set, you don't manage to beat what you did last week. You can sort of use that to G yourself up so that on your back-off set, you make sure that you progress. And that way, you've got multiple chances to progress every single session. Just to reiterate, the aim of the game with your training, if you want to get the best results possible, you need to be progressing. Whilst keeping your form the same, you need need to be doing more reps, lifting more weight. And if you can do that on a consistent basis, you'll be moving in the right direction. Exercise number 4, which is exercise number 3 for chest, we've got some dips, some weighted dips. So I'm going to do 2 sets to warm up. Again, my shoulder blade's a little bit janky, so I want to make sure that it's all okay before I start piling on some weight. Let's get cracking, people. Full range of motion, none of this half rep bullshit. Not gonna lie, I've been doing this exercise for a minute. I've still not figured out the way that I can get it on without actually lifting the weight up. I remember last time I was peak bulk, I was putting like 40 kilos on. I was literally struggling to get it up over my waist. And then this belt's pulling my joggers down. Just picturing me doing a set of dips and this belt just rips my pants down and I'm just hovering there bollock naked doing some dips. Right, so I've done one warm-up set. I'm going to do a warm-up set with 20 and then I'm going to go for 30 top set. Yeah. That'll do. 3 reps warming up. We'll stick a 10 on and then it's game time. If anyone's got a bit of a smooth way of getting this belt on, please let me know in the comments. Yep. Fuck. Getting some mad pressure on my shoulders. Oh God. Is that 5? All right. Right, I've taken a 20 plate off, so we've got 10 left. I'm just going to see how many reps I can get. I'm going to try and go for a high rep range. Try and keep my shoulders intact because if I'm feeling a little niggle, I do not want to aggravate it and I do not want to injure myself even more. Felt a little niggle on both shoulders actually, which is not good. I'm going to drop the weight to something that's more than manageable. 10 extra kilos is sound for me, and I'm going to just see how many reps I can crank out. Let's go. This is what it feels like carrying around my ball sack, 30 extra kilos. That's a joke, by the way, obviously. Right, let's get cracking. Damn, what's going on, man? Not great, not great. Let's wrap this up. We're on to pec fly. The last exercise for my titties. That's programming covered, peeps, which was the first thing that I wanted to touch on, but the second thing is intensity. You can have a great fucking training program, but if you're not pushing within 0 to 3 reps of failure, you're not gonna grow. I feel like training is a massive grey area because 99% of people, they think they're training hard and they're not. They're really not. This is something that I fell victim to. Like when I hopped on board with my coach around 18 months ago, every form clip that I was sending over, he was like, bro, you've got reps in the tank. And then I went to train with him shortly after and I realised, oh shit, like, I train like a pussy. I feel like until you actually train with someone that does train really hard, you don't realise that you've got that much more to give. This is the beauty of having a coach that you know trains hard, because you're sending form clips over, you think you're training hard, and the coach knows that you've got more in the tank and that you can push harder. And those extra reps, the ones that you squeeze out when you're uncomfortable and your muscles are burning and your mind's telling you to stop, those are the ones that help you to build muscle. And if you're consistently leaving those out and you're not doing those reps, you're going to massively stunt your growth. So make sure that you're training hard. I'm going to show you on this exercise what training hard actually looks like. And you'll notice on my top set, my first rep is a little bit hard. It's not a breeze. I see so many people, their first rep's literally like, and then their last rep will literally be like, and in an instance like that, I'm thinking, you've literally not trained the muscle. You've just moved a little bit of weight, and there is a difference there. I'm going to do one warm-up set, and then I'll do a top set, so you can see what it looks like to actually train to failure. chest is burning. Trying to grow some tits. I'll show you the back off set as well because I'm nice like that. Just to show you that every single set that I'm doing is a working set, is balls to the wall to failure, leaving nothing in the tank. If you want to grow, that's exactly what you have to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Just drop the weight 20%. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my back off set. This is my last set on this exercise. So done my top set, drop the weight 20%, go again, a little bit higher reps. I've also zoomed in so you can see my cleavage. I know that some of you watching want to see that. Fuck. Finish it. Damn. Chest is fatigued. I'm happy with that. It's okay. So, a couple more exercises for triceps. I'm not going to show you those because who wants to watch me train triceps? So, catch you peeps in the posing room. Yes, peeps. So that's going to wrap up the video. Hopefully this has been helpful for you that are not following a training program at the moment. So fingers crossed you can sort of draft up a training plan that fits in with your life, that fits in with your preferences, that fits in with your schedule, so you can actually get some decent results from the effort that you're putting in. Just to sort of caveat that, you can have the best training program in the world, but if you're not training hard, you're not going to grow. So with whatever you're doing inside the gym, make sure that you're pushing to fail, you're really digging in, you're getting everything out of every single rep that you're doing. That's going to wrap the session up. Going to do a little bit of posing. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling full as a house. I've had my food bumped up a little bit. I've not actually had my calories bumped up, but I've been allowed an off-plan meal once a week, as well as a high day once a week. So some extra calories have gone in, and I can definitely feel that. So let's get a little bit of posing. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm not going to lie, I'm getting a little bit watery and a little bit fluffy from that food. My off-plan meal was Domino's, so definitely feeling a little bit watery in my house and not as lean as I'd like to be. Fingers crossed. Over the next few days, being back on my normal plan, should start to come back a little bit. Woke up this morning at 96.8 kilos, so I mean, we're getting juicy. I've trained push today, so shoulders, chest, triceps. Still need to work on my posing. It's going to be a work in progress for a while. Not planning on competing until late next year, so I've got plenty of time to practice. Strap me to my boxes. I've got plenty of time to practice, but I do need to make sure that I'm crafting some time out to actually do a little bit of posing, because it's all good about building your physique, but if you get on stage and you can't present it, what use is that? Not much use. When I compete on stage, I want to make sure that I'm prepared. Right, that's going to wrap up the session, people. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, drop me a like, drop me a comment, drop me a sub, and I'll catch you people in the next one. Peace.